Florence Holmes Gerke was born in Portland, Oregon in 1898. As the landscape architect of one of Portland's most iconic landmarks, the International Rose Test Garden, she left an impact on Portland that has withstood the test of time. During her career, Florence was one of only 4 female landscape architects in the country and the only woman in the nation to hold that position for a municipality. Florence has received very little recognition for her landscape work, much of which still exists relatively unchanged. Florence attended Oregon Agricultural College, now known as Oregon State University, as the only woman in her class. She was a founding member and president of the Eta Alpha chapter of Chi Omega at Oregon State University. Chi Omega is the largest women's fraternal organization in the world with over 320,000 initiates, more than 178 collegiate chapters, and over 240 alumni chapters. Following graduation, Florence traveled across Europe for several months studying examples of landscape architecture and art. When she returned, her talents were quickly acquired by the Parks Department for the city of Portland, Oregon. After several years as their landscape architect, she took a sabbatical to attend the Cambridge School of Landscape Architecture in Massachusetts. Upon completion, she returned home to Portland to continue her career in the city she loved. Serving as the official landscape architect for the city of Portland, Florence was charged with designing several highly recognizable gardens in the city. The Portland International Rose Test Garden and Amphitheater would become her most famous work. The Rose Garden and Portland's identity with roses are inextricably linked. Back in 1888, Georgiana Pittock, wife of pioneer publisher Henry Pittock, invited her friends and neighbors to exhibit their roses in a tent set up in her garden. An annual rose show grew in popularity and size. Georgiana and her friends established the Portland Rose Society in 1889. In 1915, Jesse Curry, a former Rose Society president and Sunday editor of the Oregon Journal, convinced city officials to institute a rose test garden to serve as a safe haven during World War I for hybrid roses grown in Europe. Rose lovers feared that these unique plants would be destroyed in the bombings. The Park Bureau approved the idea in 1917, and by early 1918, hybridists from England began to send roses. In 1921, Florence, the landscape architect for the city of Portland, was charged with designing the International Rose Test Garden and the amphitheater. The garden was dedicated in June 1924. It is the oldest official continuously operated public rose test garden in the United States. Unofficially known as the Portland Rose Garden, the space features more than 10,000 roses. Hundreds of thousands of visitors from around the world enjoy its sights and scents annually. Another well-known project belonging to Florence was the original Crystal Springs Shakespeare Island Park. It was later relocated to Washington Park in 1945. Though originally intended to include only herbs, trees, and flowers mentioned in William Shakespeare's plays, the garden now also honors Shakespeare with roses named after characters in his plays. The focal point of the garden is the Shakespeare Memorial, a brick wall with a plaque featuring Shakespeare's image and his quote, "Of all flowers methinks a rose is best." Florence worked earnestly, spoke kindly, and acted sincerely. Her legacy is most notable in how her work still shapes the city of Portland and its residents today. Next time you are visiting Oregon State University, take a moment to reflect that the world-famous Portland Rose Garden took root at the Chi Omega House.